Yo, what's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? Hope you're having a great day so far today. And this is Equip the Podcast. And the saying is stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Just thank you for listening. If you've been listening to me for a while or keeping up with me, I just want to say continue to say thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to this podcast episodes. And if you're new listening, I just want to also say thank you for taking time out of your day as well to listen, and I hope this will be very helpful for you and be able to equip you in your everyday life to deal with everything that life has to offer and give and things like that, right? So this episode, I just want to talk about how to deal with our doubts because I feel like this is something that a lot of us deal with. There's a lot, some, especially for myself. Like this is something I deal with all the time, and even kind of still deal with it from time to time, even today. And I just think it's an important topic to talk about because our doubts cause a lot of different things in our life. And our doubts can dictate a lot of certain situations in our life. Um, and I think it's an important topic to talk about every now and again. Is talk about how to deal with our doubts because there's ways that we can deal with it. We just need to make sure we're actually doing it and equipping ourselves to know how to do it. So when the time comes, we'll be able to deal with it properly. And like when you think about doubting too, like I feel like even sometimes with doubts, you're I feel like almost doubting you're almost in a good space because when you're doubting, you still have faith. Like you can't really have doubts without faith, right? You have to have faith. Like you have to have some type of faith in order to doubt in the first place. You can't doubt something you didn't have belief in the first place. Like it's really hard to do that. So the fact that you have already have belief and know Christ can do X, Y, and Z, has the power to do X, Y, and Z, and all these other different things, that you're already, I feel like, in a good spot, kind of. You know what I mean? I feel like you're in a good spot because you still have the faith. You're just doubting that it's ever going to happen for you or you able to get through this and things like that. So to me, I feel like you're already in a pretty good spot because you still have faith and you know the power of our Lord to do X, Y, and Z in your life. So I feel like it's a good spot. But also, on the same token, I feel like, especially on the starting point, is when it comes to doubts, is always because the doubting part. I feel like is not only also just doubting that okay, is Jesus gonna come through? God will come through for you, but it's also doubting because our own personal abilities. And I feel like this might be higher on the list as far as what people doubting because we are putting too much faith in our own personal abilities, right? We're putting too much faith and confidence in our abilities, and sometimes we'll sprinkle God into the equation, but we're really dependent too much on our own selves. Because I mean, to be honest, and hear me out on this, is the fact that right, we do have gifts and ability that God has given us and things like that. We're able to do some things, but we can't do everything. We struggle to say that we're good enough, and naturally, we're not good enough. We're not good enough. Like, there's always something in life that you're just gonna fall short on eventually, or have to do this over and over again to get better. Like, even for pro athletes, I feel like they're the best of the best in what they do, but still they're not good enough to just not practice and things like that. They still gotta practice. They still gotta learn. They still gotta do they still gotta do all these things. Like they are not good enough just to just depend on certain God given abilities. They also have to work as well. So, and I feel like when it comes to doubting, we can put too much faith and doubt. Not only that God's going to do something, but I feel like more mainly because of us. We're talking about us, right? We're talking about us, our abilities. Like, dang, I'm not good. Like, we're putting it all on us. And we put it all on us, then that's what that's going to fall short every time because we can't do everything in life. We can't. We can't hold it every day in our life. We're not supposed to do everything on our life, right? But honestly, that's a good thing because it takes pressure off of us. It takes pressure off of us, right? To the point where it's like, okay, I don't have to fully depend on myself. I know Christ and God is in control of this situation, so I don't have to fully depend on myself in this situation. I have the creator of the universe on my side, help me and guide me and help me persevere through whatever that I'm going through and dealing with. instead of putting everything on our own self. So really, to us, it's like we can take a load of pressure off ourselves because we're naturally not supposed to do stuff ourselves. Which when we trust God, we really are bettering ourselves because we're taking pressure off of ourselves, not depending fully on ourselves, and putting it all on Christ, and He will help us out to better ourselves. If that makes sense, because I feel like with doubt, that's a lot of it has to deal with us trying to do stuff on our own and putting so much faith in our own abilities instead of actually trusting God with it. So it could be like I am trusting God, but I'm just getting impatient, or I'm just not sure if He wants to, or stuff like that. And then you got the B side where it's like, all right, God, He's there, He's cool, I'm gonna sprinkle in, but I'm putting more faith and hope in myself versus Him, that's never gonna work. Especially not long term, it's definitely not gonna work. Everybody has a cave-in moment where you're gonna need God to help you in the situation. So I kind of want to bring up this verse. I feel like that's helped me in the situation when I dealt with my doubts and stuff throughout my life, because I kind of shared about where it comes from. How I was born and had to learn how to, for my like being born premature, and my speech needs to be worked on, my walking needs to be worked on, and all these other different things, and the stuff that kids said to me helped me doubt and gave myself insecurities. But over time, I've gotten better and learned how to deal with it properly. So I kind of want to share my screen real quickly and share this verse to dissect. I just want to dissect this one verse, 'cause I feel like this verse alone can help us with what we doubt. So let's look at Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Solomon, he says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. And there's a lot in these two verses, right? So let's dissect it real quick. Now let's look at it. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. The first thing you want to look at is, what does this mean by heart? Like, what does this mean right here when it says heart? Trust in the Lord with all your heart. What does the heart mean, right? Now, if we look at what the word heart means actually in Hebrew that this was written in, the Hebrew word for heart is leb. Leb. Now, let's look at it. The inner man, the mind, will, heart, understanding, soul, heart, stuff like that. And then we look at other definitions. The heart also used figuratively, right? It's figuratively, obviously, right? Very widely for the feelings, the will, and even the intellect. Likewise, for the center of everything, right? So the center of everything, that's what it means by your heart. That's what this word implies. That's what lab in Hebrew, which is heart, the word used here. In this passage, this is talking about everything, your heart. I mean, your mind, your will, your intellect, your center of everything. So when Solomon, going back to the verse, so when Solomon says to trust in the Lord with all your heart, he's saying to trust in your Lord with all your heart, meaning your thoughts, your will, your decision making, everything about you, your whole center of everything is trusting in the Lord. And we don't do that. I think that's the issue right there. We naturally just don't do that. We don't we'll trust in the Lord with all of our, maybe our body language might say it, or we might just say it. But when it comes to our mind, it doesn't lean on trusting the Lord with all our heart. When it comes to our will, it doesn't lean with trusting the Lord with all your heart. When it comes to your intellect, things like that, it doesn't, that's what your heart includes. It means every single thing. That's what it means to trust in the Lord with all your heart, meaning everything. Your mindset, even though sometimes we struggle with our mindset and thoughts, you're going to still point to trusting in the Lord. You're going to point to trusting in the Lord in your will, right? In your actions, everything about you, you're going to trust in the Lord with all of your heart. And I feel like with this step, like with this first part of this verse, we just don't do this part all the time accurately. Because we always say, yeah, trust in the Lord with all your heart, love people with all your heart, stuff like that. But what does that actually mean by your heart biblically? Like, what does it actually mean? And your heart means everything. Your whole center of everything is trusting in the Lord. Everything is trusted in God. And that's something we don't, which is why we get the doubts that we get. Because we're not fully putting all of our trust in in the Lord. Like we give him probably 10% when the other half is going to ourselves. Shoot, sometimes we'd be trusted in our own selves with all of our heart, more than trusting the Lord. So I think that's an issue. That's something we need to think about right there. And then the second part of verse 5, and do not lean on your own understanding, right? So what do you think like what that means? Not lean on your understanding. Because a lot of us, that's what we do. We make all of our decisions because of our own understanding, of what we think is right, of what feels right, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we don't know everything. We don't know everything. We can't even control things in our own life. We can't control things in our own life, right? So why are we dependent on our own understanding when we don't know everything? You can't control other people's actions. You can't control how things happen in the world. You can't control those things. There's things that are out of our league and out of our realm. And we can't lean on our own understanding because we don't always know what's right. We will quickly psych our own selves out. We will quickly do these things. Like we can quickly deceive our own selves. We do it all the time. The Bible does talk about how the hearts can be deceitful. Our own hearts can be deceitful to our own selves when we're only dependent on ourselves, when we're only going to ourselves and only thinking to ourselves. Like a lot of us are weak-willed, weak-minded, and we have weak hearts. And yet we're putting all of our trust in our own selves, knowing that we're not even strong enough to handle this stuff. So we can't lean on our own understanding because simply we don't even know it ourselves. Right? And let's look at verse 6. In all your ways, acknowledge him. Right? So I feel like this kind of coincides with trusting the Lord with all your heart. So acknowledge him with everything, every aspect of your life. Big decisions, small decisions. No matter what it is, look to his word. Acknowledge him. Pray to him. Take everything to him first. Because a lot of times we'll take everything to God after the situation goes wrong. Or we'll go to God just to sprinkle him in, or pray to him, not actually looking for an answer, but praying to him just to check box the licks, and then you're going to do what you want anyway, right? We have to acknowledge him in all of our ways, meaning just put him first, include him first, actually read and to pray to see what answer that he actually says. Acknowledge him in every aspect of your life because God does care about every aspect of your life, no matter how big or small the situation is. He cares about every aspect. So we have to acknowledge him because he deserves to be acknowledged first. He should be acknowledged first. He's the creator of the universe. He's the one that should be acknowledged first because he ultimately knows what's best for us more than we know what's best for us. And then he will make your path straight. Meaning, right, like making your path straight, not like Dorothy's Yellow Brick Road, not like everything's hunky-dory, not that he's going to guarantee you to break you out of every situation or that everything's going to go right in your life. But, making your path straight is letting you know that no matter how the path might seem or how rocky it might look, he's going to help you persevere through whatever that you're going through and what you're dealing with. That's making your path straight, not taking things away to make it easier for you. No, making your path straight. Like, look, this looks crazy. I don't know how I will get down here, but I know he's gonna make my path straight enough in a way to help me persevere and grow at the same time. Right. So when it comes to doubt, let's think about this real quick as we wrap up here. When we're thinking about doubt, how to help me doubt, and honestly, this verse helped me a lot when it comes to doubting, because when I'm trusting in the Lord with all my heart, meaning everything, my whole center, everything, my heart, my mind, my will, it will keep me more focused on Him and not necessarily on the issue at hand. Hearing the words of what He says to us, how He comforts us, and things like that, how He holds us accountable when we need to be, and things like that. Trusting Him with all your heart is the number one thing. Like, let's try that. Trust in Him with all your heart, your mind, your will, your actions, everything. Fully do that, right? And don't lean on your own understanding on every situation because we don't know it. We don't know always what's right. We don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just actually crazy to only lean on your own understanding because we don't know everything. Our hearts can be deceitful too. You can deceive your own self. So don't just depend on you, right? And then last verse, acknowledge your way. I mean, in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. So make him a priority. Go to him first. Acknowledge him in every situation and every decision that you make in your life, right? And then he'll make your path straight, meaning he'll help you persevere for whatever that you're going through. And if we're applying these things, right, if we're trusting the Lord with all of our heart, which we learn what our heart means, and not leaning on our own understanding of every situation that we might be doubting on, and acknowledging him first in every decision and everything that we make, not even just a decision that you make to go to the store or the restaurant or stuff like that, but everything, right? And he will make your path straight. He will help you get through it. But our doubting can come because we're not fully putting all of our emphasis and trusting the Lord and trusting God. We're not putting it all in there. I'm not saying this for everybody in every case, but I feel like people can really relate to it if we're being truly honest about the assessment of what you're listening to, right? I think that's really important. Like, I think that's really important because in order to help your doubts, we have to trust in the Lord with all of our heart and not lean on our own understanding when it comes to certain things, right? And then, acknowledge him in everything. Acknowledge him in everything. He will make your path straight. And then lastly, I also want to add too, is to be consistent. To be consistent. Consistency. Every single day we should be doing this. Because we're going to need it every single day. You're going to have some good days and really some bad days and hard times or whatever. And you really need to do this on a daily basis. Helping yourself, especially when you're in the midst of doubting. And when you're in the midst of doubting, just remember these things. Read scripture. Attack it immediately. Don't just feel it coming on and then you're just like, all right, forget it. When the doubt comes, I'm just going to sit in it. And like I said, it's easier said than done. But once you actually make the action, once you actually do these things, that's what's really going to help you with your doubts and with your doubting. And for me, that verse helped me out because it took me off the focus of it and put Christ at the focus of it. And when I focus on him, I don't worry about doubt and insecurities because I'm too focused on him and I know what he says about me and I know how he's helping me in my life and I know how he's helping me persevere through these things. And my weakness is really my hidden strength because of him. So don't let your doubts be fueled by you on yourself and you putting all the responsibility on yourself and stuff like that. No, don't do that. Put your trust and everything into the Lord, into Christ. Everything into him. I'm talking about your whole will, mind, being, all that into him. And acknowledge him in all your ways, right? Don't lean on your own understanding, right? And we'll get through these things. Like, sometimes this might be something we might have to deal with for the rest of our lives. It could be possible. Like God could help you with it. You never have to feel this way again, but maybe not. But the thing is, his word helps us understand how to deal with our doubts. Because there's people in the Bible that did have doubts and worry and stuff like that. They're like, this is a human thing. A lot of people have doubts and stuff like that. God does address it. It's just us being consistent enough to making sure we're staying equipped to handle these type of situations to help us not doubt. You know what I mean? I want this to be a reminder for you guys to not doubt. And there's ways to deal with our doubt. And God understands that we are going to doubt. He's not oblivious to it. But he wants us to make sure we're doing the right thing so we don't let our doubt draw us to another road that could be very, very else problematic for yourself. But, that's pretty much all I had for you guys. Like, I just wanted to say encourage an uplifting thing when it comes to our doubts. And how to deal with their doubts and kind of how I dealt with it, because this verse really helped me a lot and learn about the verse and dissecting it and and making that time. And when I do this stuff, I notice I start to slack when I'm not doing these things. When I'm not doing exactly how Solomon is telling us, how to do it. That's when I notice, okay, I'm slipping. I'm not doing these right things like that. So, but yeah, that's all I have for you guys. So I hope y'all find this very helpful and into your life, and you enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.